Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and I just noticed that I started a bit early. I didn't mean to because I usually start exactly at 1 o'clock. So I apologize for that. But this is a continuation of communicating with your guides. I went back over some of the history of my sessions, and I hadn't realized that I had done this completely with probably 2 years ago. So I'm going to use different examples than I have there. But as always, as I always do, I work totally from my own personal experience. I feel it's the best way for me to stay authentic, and it's the best way for me to stay in a place that reaches out across the miles and connects with you where it is that you are. I always feel that it doesn't matter who shows up for my sessions. It doesn't matter because eventually it will reach the people who need to hear what I have to say. I completely believe that my life is orchestrated by a divine symphony, if you have it, and anything that comes out of my mouth is going to reach the perfect audience for the people who need to hear what I have to say. One thing about guides is if you set up an expectation of what you want, how you want the experience to be with your guides, you're going to be disappointed. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. That is because Spirit's way is not man's way. Spirit's way is always going to be very, um, I think the word that I need more than anything is succinct and very to the point. So, Spirit is not going to beat around the bush and is going to be extremely uh, well, clear about the message. They don't want you to get confused about what it is that they're telling you. They don't want you to un, to see and misread something and feel like, geez, I don't understand that. What do they really mean by that? They are very, very clear. And I would like, this is coming up in February 26th, but this is the lesson that is in Own Your Power. And it says, Message from my guides, the power of your thoughts. I do want to start with that. It says, I have a little blurb underneath, and this is from a quote from the Lion King. And it says, It doesn't matter if it's in the past, it doesn't matter. It's in the past. So, this is where the young Simba is being guided by the people that surround him. And this is his young friend talking to him. And so I continue. This comes in from my guides. If it happened a second ago, it qualifies as being in the past. The only thing that matters is what is happening now. The world can change in an instant, or it can take 3,000 years. It is up to you. You can think the changes through, you can plod through them. It is all up to you. You are birthing the 13th universe. How you do that is entirely up to you. You have the means to do it instantly if only you believed. Or you can take as long as you wish. That is the power of your free will. That is just the first paragraph. And that's all I'm guided to read. So, like I said, that's February 26th. That's coming up as a lesson. And anytime you come to a lesson in Own Your Power that's completely italicized, you will know that that lesson came in and is published exactly the way I received it from my guides. Usually, if my guides gave me a message, if it was a warning, it came in very, very succinctly, or if it was guidance. And I'm just going to give you two stories on that. The first one happened on Easter morning, maybe 20 years ago. I had a group of friends who were studying A Course in Miracles, the ones I was studying A Course in Miracles with. And we all decided we were going to go to Lee Sylvania Park in Occoquan, which is, well, actually, I guess it wasn't Occoquan at that point. I guess it was Woodbridge, and it was on the Potomac River. And we were going to see the sunrise because we were going to do our own sunrise service. So, as with anything else, sunrise roughly takes 8 minutes. And so, if you're going to do a ceremony, an Easter sunrise ceremony, you've got to be there on time. You've got to be there exactly on time. In preparation for this, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I was determined that I was going to be exactly on time because that is one thing that I learned that was part of my training in real estate. If you when you had an appointment and the client said 5 o'clock, you don't show up at 5:10 or 5:50. You showed up at maybe 5 minutes to five and waited for them. So I was determined I was going to be there. And I dressed in a timely manner, got into my car, I'm going down and approached the highway. And as I approached the highway, I get a directional that says Fountainhead straight ahead. And I'm thinking, well, that's Route 1. And Route 1 has a gazillion lights. I'm sure I can make it there faster. So instead, I get on the highway and I end up doing a rectangular passage that takes me back to the starting point. And as I get back to the starting point, then go straight ahead to Fountainhead Park, I asked my guides, why did you let me do that? And their succinct answer was, next time, follow directions. They gave me the signposts. They knew exactly where I was supposed to go. But it was my ego that decided that, oh, I was going to find an easier way. I was going to find a way that was going to take me through um, less lights than I would have to go on Route 1. Well, the irony is at 4:30 in the morning, there's not a lot of lights. And if they do go, some of them are blinking. And so you can pass through them pretty quickly. So that really was a very good lesson for me. Next time, follow directions. I know that there's so many things that you can do um, in cooking. You can alter directions. You can definitely make substitutes. Baking is a little bit less forgiving. And I've learned too that when it comes time to organizing, if I need to organize something, I need to bring everything out. Empty that drawer, empty the purse, empty the closet, empty the shelf, empty the cupboard, whatever. I have to bring it out or sift it from side to side and then put it back one by one because that's what works for me. So, anyway, listening to your guides. Next time, follow directions. The next example that I have that was a little bit on the sad side because I we were reaching a milestone I'm sorry, anniversary, and so I bought a new dress, thinking that it would be lovely to have a dinner out, and something happened that our time slipped away. So the only possibility to have dinner was at the same place that we were going for the performance, to the Kennedy Center. Well, you have two choices at the Kennedy Center. You have a choice of a very expensive restaurant called the Rose Terrace, or you have a choice of the cafeteria, which offers, in some cases, very nice food or a salad bar. But the atmosphere is just pretty dull. Cafeterias are cafeterias. So you're not going to have a very exquisite setting. So, of course, I had my heart set on the rose garden, the rose terrace. My husband would have nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing. And this was still at a period of in my life where I asked him if it was okay if we would go instead of just setting up a reservation and telling him where we were headed. So so he had his input was nope, 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 nope. And I was like really bummed out. And I then what happens on the way there, he misses the turn to the Kennedy Center. He misses the left-hand turn that well the and effectively both lanes turn left, but one of the lanes can also go straight ahead. So he ends up going straight ahead. So then he gets so upset. He goes into a hissy fit. And I have to listen to, and this is before, uh, uh, oh gosh, the MapQuest. This is before any type of GPS on our phones or uh, so I have to listen to this tirade of language. And before we get to uh, to the Kennedy Center, I hear this very succinct, very quiet voice when we're finally there and things have all calmed down in the house, in the car. I finally hear there are worse things than not going out to dinner, and which in a sense made me laugh because effectively, yes, what I experienced was by far worse than my not having the dinner of my choice and still enjoy the performance. I know that was very, very special. So, next time that you are totally upset about your plans being disrupted, just remember that there was a higher purpose for that. Uh, if you want to get a really good perspective on it, go and read about all of the people who had their plans disrupted before the World Trade Center collapsed. It goes on for just multiple examples. And it was a big revelation to me how many people's plans to go to the World Trade Center where they worked that day were thwarted. And they, as a result, they ended up having their lives saved because of it. So it it really is incredible. And there is a young man uh, from Australia who has a video out there, and for whatever reason, I have forgotten the man's name, but I think it's Bates, Bates, and he had, as he was driving along in the car, all of a sudden he heard at the top of his voice, he heard the words, "Stop the car." And so loud, so forcibly, that he immediately slammed on the brakes, and he did not go through the intersection that was up ahead of him. And because he didn't go through that intersection, what he witnesses next is a tractor trailer truck that goes speeding through the intersection, obviously running a red light to make the crossing, and he would have been smack dab in the middle at the rate of speed he was going. He would have been smack dab in the middle. He then spent the next 3 years of his life saying, because that was the first time he heard that voice. And so he spent the next 3 years of his life researching, what was that voice? What was it that, who was it that said, "Stop the car," so forcibly? And in I think that, again, to me, like, I do I need any kind of proof? Do I need any kind of validation? Absolutely not. But there are those that absolutely do need it. And if you are one of them, then hope that you be given the grace from God to just accept what your guides give you. I do know there's just one last thing that I wanted to cover today. It just so happens that my subdivision is bordered on one side by a street called Lee Chapel Road, because there was at the corner of the subdivision, catty corner across the street, was at one time a little chapel called Lee Chapel. And there, the only thing remaining of it is the cemetery. So uh, I've never gone there. I've driven by it thousands of times. I've never gone there. But one of the things that has absolutely astonished me, within the space of about a mile and a half, the length of this street, it crosses two major intersections, and in that space, and the space of it bordering our subdivision, we have had four fatalities. The first one, while we were there, while we've been living in that house, the 34 years. So I don't know what happened before. I don't know what's going to come after, but in the 34 years we've been living there, we've had four fatalities. The first one was a 16-year-old girl that they have never found what it, another person involved in this accident. Um, in fact, in all four cases, come to think of it, there has not been another car involved. It was all four fatalities came from what they call driver error. And then I think in the last one, the young girl was on her cell phone and lost control and went into the trees. But there was a group of four young men very close in age to my sons, uh, and he, in fact, I know that with one of the four that were in the car, I worked with his mother as a volunteer with for the swim club. But as they were coming down the street, and there were two large, very large, kind of like humps in the road, to the point where the young people thought it was such a great idea to fly over the humps. Well, in this case, the four young men that flew, the driver lost control, headed into the woods because the woods um, s- are right next door. One of the men, the young boy that was killed, was decapitated. And so I try to say a prayer every time I think of it. And that was very close to where the 16-year-old was hurt. The last one, the third one, I knew nothing about. It was further up, but the last one, again bordering our subdivision, was a young girl that I remember that Sunday we had decided to go out to dinner, and for whatever reason, we it took forever for us to get out the door. It took like half an hour. Something would happen, a phone would ring, um, s- something happened. So it took us forever to get out the door. When we came home, there were blockades up shortly after we had, or at some period between the time we had left the house, the time we ate, and the time we came home. This young girl, this time, was talking on her phone, lost control. And so it was so sad because the only other accident that I know that has affected our subdivision, none, this was not an accident that, from somebody from our subdivision, but obviously it bordered our subdivision. But the only other accident that affected our subdivision was where a mother and father and their baby, and they had left three children at home, um, with other scenarios. Somebody was at a friend, somebody was at a relative's, and everything. So they had gone to get pizza as they were coming home down the parkway towards our subdivision, not very far away. Again, somebody got distracted, jumped the median strip, and ran headlong into them. The baby in the back seat survived. Both parents were killed. So all I can tell you is, if you are stopped, if you absolutely, for whatever reason, realize that, boy, it's taking me a long time to accomplish something before you walk out the door, just know that that could be your guides protecting you. So just don't, you know, become angry about it. Don't become belligerent. Just know that you could be surrounded by the grace of God. And I do want to thank you for watching. If you would like a book on meditations, Own Your Power Day by Day is the best that is out there. Available on Amazon, available on my website, Alicja, ALICJA, Jones.com. Thank you. I appreciate you and being here, and am so happy to see you. I will be teaching A Course in Miracles this Saturday. Again, details are on my website, and I'll be teaching Reiki 2 next Saturday. Farewell for now.